Good day, dear students. Hope all of you are doing well and safe. This is Israa Elbendary, Assistant Lecturer at Faculty of Commerce, Cairo University. And today we are going to cover the final revision in Human Resource Management Practices. At the beginning, I would like to note that mainly the exam will cover chapters 1, 2, and 4 in details. Okay, 1, 2, and 4 in details, and the main concepts only of chapters 5 to 16. Okay, so the first 1, 2, and 4 chapters, you should study it from the sections in the lectures in details. Okay, but for the rest of the chapters, which are 5 to 16, this presentation today I'm going to present is quite enough to study from, okay, because what is needed from 5 to 16 is only the main definitions of the chapters. Okay, let's begin our revision, inshallah. Our revision will be mainly also two parts. First, I'll go through all the chapters from 1 to 16 except chapter 3. Chapter 3 is not with us, and after we go through all the chapters, we'll have a review questions of all the chapters, and the questions are very rich, and inshallah it will be very useful for you. Okay, let's start inshallah in chapter 1. I will just go through it in like a summary, just a summary. So we have first to know the definition of human resource management, and we covered it previously, that a human resource management is about the policies and practices and systems, policies, practices, and systems that influence employees' behavior, attitudes, and performance. So as you remember when we addressed before the human resource management, so you are managing everything that is about the human resources in your organization, whether it's behaviors or attitudes, and most importantly, the performance of the employees in order to have a great impact to the performance of the organization. And this is what the next slide is talking about, that the HRM practices have a great impact, okay, to the company performance. So what are the HRM practices? First, we have the job analysis and the analysis and design of work, and this will have it in details next. HR planning, and here you are having like a plan and comparing between the supply and demand of human resources management. Then we have the recruiting and selection, or we can call it the staffing in human resource management. So it's about you are attracting new applicants for your jobs, and then you are trying to select the best of the best in order to hire in your organization. Then we have training and development. Every employee who enters the company should have and get some trainings in order to have some view about what the organization is working about, what is the culture of the organization, and also for about specific knowledge that is needed to perform the job. And also the development. Performance management, you're managing the performance of employees, and this is these functions include also the appraisal, the performance appraisal and evaluation of the employees, and then the compensation and pay. You're trying to compensate the employees for working in your organization, so you're trying to give them some salaries, some benefits, okay, and employee relations. Of course, the employees are not working individually in the organization, but there is some sort of relations and interaction between the employers and the employees and the co-workers. So all those are covered in the practices of human resource management. These practices has an impact on the company performance, especially if these practices are linked to the strategy of the organization. Okay, so as we can see here in this figure, that we have the human resource management and the type of human capital, okay, and the behavior. So here we have the training and experience and judgment, intelligence, and the behavior of the human capital itself, the human resources in your organization. All of these combined and has an impact on the overall performance of the organization, which means the quality and profitability and customer satisfaction. Okay. Then we have covered this also in chapter 1, which was talking about the competencies and behaviors of HR professionals. Okay. And as we described, the competencies are the set of skills, knowledge, and attitudes of the employee in the organization. And it is divided, as you can see here, the competencies of the HR professionals. So we're having the HR expertise in relationship management, consultation, and so on. So those are the competencies of the HR professionals in the organization. Also in chapter 1, we covered the employee rights. What are the rights of the employee when he enters in the organization? Here we have like the right of free consent, like people have the right to be treated only as the way knowingly and willingly consent to be treated. And then the right of privacy, like you have to keep the privacy of each employee about the records, the privacy of their activities. Okay. And then the right of freedom of conscience, like people have the right to refuse to do what violates their moral beliefs, as long as these beliefs does not contradict with the values of the organization. So all these rights, you have to know the name of the right and what is the meaning of it, because it can become in the MCQ questions, the multiple choice questions, or it can come in the true and false question. So you have to understand and memorize the type of the right and what is meant by it. Okay, let's move to chapter 2, and it was covering the main trends in human resource management. And in this chapter, we tried to differentiate between the internal labor force and the external labor force. And as for the internal labor force, an organization's workers includes its employees and people who have contracts to work at the organization. So they are already working in your organization and they have some contracts with you. An internal labor force has been drawn from the external labor force. This is normally because the internal labor comes normally from the external labor force. Okay. As for the external labor market, it's meant by the people who are actually searching for a job or actively seeking to be hired. Okay, this is the external labor force, and it refers to the number and kinds of people in external labor market who are not in our organization, and determine the kinds of human resources available to an organization. So this is, you can say that this is the pool that if you like to hire people or employees, you will go to the external labor force. Okay. Then also in chapter 2 we covered some changes that like has an effect on the labor force, like the aging workforce, like there is difference between the old workers and the younger workers, and how the information uh, transfers from the experienced and old workers to the younger one. And we have the diversity in the workforce. We talked about the diversity in the in this like having females and males. We're having different cultures. We're dealing with different backgrounds. So this is how to manage the diversity in the workforce. And also if you have skill deficiency, all those factors has an impact, and it's changed a lot in the recent years in the labor workforce. Also, we have covered the strategic business issues affecting the HRM, like the mergers and acquisitions, re-engineering, international expansion, and so on. So all our those are strategic business issues that are affecting the human resource management. I'm just going through these parts just very quickly, because any details you will have it in the materials. I'll send it to you, and in the previous sections, in the previous videos, so don't worry about that. Okay. And also in chapter 4 is talking about the work design and job analysis. Here we talked about the workflow design. What is meant by workflow? It is a process of analyzing tasks necessary for the production of a product or service. So this you are analyzing what is needed to produce a product or service. And here we have, as you know, three components. We are having a set of inputs, and then processes, and then the outputs. So here you are trying to analyze what is needed as an input in order to be processed to produce some sort of products, goods, and services. And then we have the position. It's a set of job duties performed by a particular person, and the job is a set of related duties. Okay. Here, as we said, how to develop the workflow. As I mentioned, we are having a set of inputs. Okay, let's make a marker. Okay, so we have here a set of inputs such as the materials, the data, the information. So we have raw inputs. Surely we know we have to um, have equipment, like what special equipment and facilities and the systems are needed, and for most important, the human resources, what knowledge, skills, and abilities are needed by those performing this task. So those are the inputs: materials, equipment, and human resources. Going through the activities or the processes. So what are the tasks required in the production of the output? And then you are having the final output, what product, information, or service is provided, and how is the output measured. Okay, so this is what about the developing a workflow analysis. Then we talk about the job analysis itself, that we said that it's a set of duties. Job analysis, the process of getting detailed information about the job. Any job has a job description and job specification. and this is in the job analysis. Job description, you're knowing what are the main duties, responsibilities, and tasks are needed in the job. And the specifications, it's about the person itself. What are the competencies, knowledge, and skills that are needed in order to perform this job. Job description and job specifications. So what's the importance of having a job analysis in your organization? Okay, first, job analysis is so important to HR managers that it has been called the building block of all HRM functions. When you will study in details this chapter, you will know that each function that we mentioned, like recruitment and selection, HR planning, training and development, all of the functions depend on the output of the job analysis. So we need the job description and job specification in order to make a recruitment and selection, in order to give training, in order to performance management, and to compare between the actual performance and the expected performance. So all of these depends on the output of job analysis. Here how this is they said almost every HRM program requires some type of information determined by job analysis, and those are the functions that depend on job analysis. Okay, so how to create the job analysis? What are the methods and approaches to the job design? Here are some methods. We are having the design for motivation. So we are having job enlargement, job enrichment, teamwork, and flexibility. And like this, for example, design for mental capacity, like filtering information, clear displays and instructions, memory aids. Okay, you have to know all of these approaches to job design. Okay, beginning from now, from chapter 5 up to chapter 16, these slides is much more enough. It's very satisfying for you to study from. But the first 4 chapters, I will be sending for you more detailed materials and also the explanation of it, because you have to study it in details, chapter 1, 2, and 4. Okay, here we will have a brief about each chapter. What are the main concepts only? That is what is needed from chapter 5 to chapter 16. Like here, for example, chapter 5 is talking about HR planning. So we can define HR planning as the process of forecasting the organization's future needs. So we are coming here at the beginning of the year, like in the Department of the Sales, Department of Marketing, Department of HR, and trying to forecast what are the number or which positions needs more employees. So you're forecasting your needs and then developing an action staffing plans and programs for fulfilling these needs. Like you're trying to figure out where you will get your job advertisement, what type of employees do you want, what kind of skills and abilities do you need. Okay, so you are first forecasting your needs and then making a staffing plans. This is what is meant by human resource planning. So when you are planning for staffing, And staffing includes the recruitment, selection, and retaining the employees. This is the staffing. So what are the factors that affecting the staffing? Here are some factors that has an impact on staffing because the organization is not working individually. Organizations are open systems that are operating in an open environment. So you are getting your input from the environment and then giving the environment your outputs. You are not operating separately. Therefore, there are some external influences that affect staffing. For example, the economic conditions, like the economic expansion and contraction, job growth and job opportunities, internal labor market mobility, and turnover rates. All of these factors has an impact on the staffing. As for the labor markets, labor demand like employment patterns, knowledge, skills, and attitudes, labor supply, labor force, demographic trends, all of these has an impact on the staffing process. Also, the technology has an impact on elimination of the jobs, creating of new jobs, and changing in the requirements of skills. Okay, and the labor unions, labor contracts, staffing levels, staffing quality, internal improvement, and so on. Okay. So, what is the process of human resource planning? Those are the basic elements of human resource planning, as we mentioned in the definition. First, we have forecasting the organization employee needs and requirements, and you are forecasting the labor availabilities, like you are trying to see the requirements or the demand and the forecasts are of the labor availabilities or the supply. You are trying to compare between both and determine the gaps and then developing action plans. So it's very simple process between trying to compare between the demands and the supply. Determine, for example, you need 4 employees, so you will begin in developing the action plans to hire those employees. Okay. And this table is talking about an example for this process of human resource planning. In this example, we have the sales and customer service department, okay, or organizational unit. So the requirements, as we mentioned here, are 110. You need 110 employees, and the available employees are 71. So we have shortage when you're trying to compare between the labor requirements and the labor availabilities. You have shortage. You need more 39 employees. So the action plan we are trying to develop will depend on the recruitment and selection. In the second one, for example, we are having requirements 15 and the available workforce are 22. So we have 7 surplus, and our plan should be employee or employment retention, which means how you will keep those 7 motivated, how you will keep them like not bored with all this surplus. No, each one has his own duties, has his own benefits and salaries. Okay, so you're talking about employee retention, how to keep your employee. Here, for example, we have 150 here customer service representative. No, here what we need 250 and we have 140, so the shortage is 110. You need more 110 representatives. So here we can depend on the compensation. Okay. As for here, because the shortage is not too much, so you can depend only on training more the employees, training and development. Especially here, it is the manager, so you will depend more in the development of your uh, uh, employees. Okay. So next, this is chapter 5. So chapter 5 we just covered what is human resource planning and what is the process of human resource planning. In chapter 6, we will cover the recruitment. And recruitment, as I said, is about attracting the employees in order to create a pool of employees to choose from. Okay, a pool of job applicants. So here some issues are covered in this chapter. Not all of them are needed for you to know. The most important thing, for example, are open versus targeted recruitment. And here, when you are trying to target the job applicants, whether you will depend on open recruitment strategy or targeted recruitment strategy. Open recruitment strategy, which means you have to attract and recruit job applicants from anywhere. You have no specific need. But the targeted, you are trying to target a group of people. Like, for example, you will make a recruitment in the universities because you are targeting a group of students who have a specific knowledge. Okay? Here, the recruitment sources, it may be internal sources or external sources. The internal sources can be the promotions from inside, can be the job posts in the organization, or employee referrals. These are the internal sources. While the external sources, you are trying to make job advertisement in the social media, in the newspapers, or trying to make like job fair in the companies or in the universities. Those are external recruitment sources. Okay, let's move on. Here, as we mentioned, the recruitment sources could be some sort of internal or external. Here, the applicant initiated, employee referrals, employee networks. So those are some types of recruitment sources: executive search firms, professional associations, and so on. You just have to know the name of the sources, okay? The sources of the recruitment. Then the metrics for evaluating recruitment methods. So the recruitment methods you are relying on, it depends. It depends what quality and quantity are needed, and then you will depend on whether it is external or internal recruitment methods. Then when you will evaluate, you can evaluate whether the recruitment method has the sufficient quantity or not. It has the sufficient quality or not. The cost. What was the cost? The cost of attracting job seekers and processing their applications, and the impact on HR outcomes, like the effectiveness, the impact of recruitment sources on employee satisfaction, job performance, diversity, and retention. So this is very important. the metrics for evaluating the recruiting methods. The methods that we mentioned, these methods. So whether you depend on, for example, job fair. So we will, after you have done from the job fair, you will have to evaluate the method, whether the quantity that comes from this method is enough and sufficient, what is the quality, the cost, and the impact on satisfaction, performance, diversity, and retention. Okay. Here's some choice messages, how to send your messages, because you have when you are making recruitment, you are sending messages to the job applicants, depending also on the type of the source and the source of recruitment you will depend on. So whether it is realistic, it will both show the positive and negative aspects of the job. This is the realistic. Or branded message, like you will appealing description in developed based on marketing principles, like you will show the main features of the organization, what are the benefits of being an employee in this organization, and so on. And the targeted, like these advertising themes are designed to attract a specific set of employees. Like if you are targeting doctors, you have to design something that attracts doctors. And if you are targeting engineers, and so on. This is the targeted message. The branded message is depending on the marketing principles. And the realistic message is like telling the reality of the job, positive and negative aspects of the job. Here the reactions of the applicants. Potential drawbacks of each message. For example, here the potential drawbacks. The best potential applicants may be more likely to leave because he knows already what are the negative aspects. Okay. And the branded, overly positive message may result in employee dissatisfaction after hire because they will meet the reality. Okay, so the over positive messages are not good always. Here, the applicants who aren't interested in the work attributes featured in the message from applying. Okay. So this is very useful one. It's comparing between the messages of recruitment, realistic, branded, and targeted. Each one has its own bests and drawbacks, the advantages and disadvantages, and how the applicants like react to this type of messages. After the recruitment, we'll move to the selection. When you are creating a pool of job applicants, you have to select employees from. So personnel selection is about organizations making decision about who will and who will not be allowed to join the organization. Who is we are going to hire in the organization. So selection begins with candidates identified through the recruitment, as we mentioned. So first we are having recruitment, we're having the sufficient quality and quantity of job applicants, and then we're trying to select from them. It attempts to reduce a number to individuals best qualified to perform available jobs. So you are trying at the end to choose the best of the best for your organization who matches the responsibilities and duties you need to perform. In the end, it ends with selected individuals placed in job with organization. Yes. Okay. So what are the steps of selecting employees? You are beginning from a general step, and then you will reduce the job applicants until you will reach your targeted employee. So first we are having screening applications and resumes. So after we are getting a job, after we have done the recruitment phase, we get some CVs, some resumes and applications, and you're trying to screen, initial screening, about whether the applicant matches our organization or not, having the sufficient skills and knowledge and attitudes needed or not. And then you will move to the testing and reviewing work samples and interviewing candidates. I think most of us go through these 3 stages, but not more further. Okay, like interviewing candidates, you try to interview the job applicants into more knowing what is farther from the resumes, and then check in references and background even after the step of interviewing the candidates. You can ask the references that he put in the application whether he really has this knowledge and skills, and what is his background, knowledge, background, experience. Okay, and then moving to the last point is the selection, making a selection. So in each phase of those, you are trying to reduce the job applicants. For example, here we have 100, the pool of 100 that comes from the recruitment. After the screening, they became 80. After the testing and reviewing work samples, they became 70. After the interviewing, they became like 25. Check-in references, and then you choose from them 5, and so on. Okay. Here in the when you are making a selection in which in the like testing, in the testing and the applicants, you're having some tools, okay, and methods. These tools and methods should be measured. So those are the criteria of measuring the effectiveness of selection. Okay, because not all the organizations are going through the same steps. Some organizations begin with the phone interview, and then they will make a medical examination, and then so and so on. So those are selection tools and methods. The criteria of using those methods is that the method, whether it provides reliable information or not, that information that I can depend on or not. Okay, because not every job you can use only job interview. Not every job you can depend on the referrals and the backgrounds. Okay, so the method that you are using in the selection, you have to know that it should be reliable, and it offers a reliable information. Okay, then the methods provide a valid information, so information that is already valid, not old information. Information can be generalized to apply to candidates. That information that you get from the method should be generalized to apply to candidates. The method offers high utility, okay, and the selection criteria are legal. Yes, of course, you have to depend on the selection methods that are legal one, not illegal. Okay. Here's some methods of getting the background information for the job applicants. I think all of you have heard about it, like the resume, like the CV, and all of you also are about to prepare a CVs in order to get a job in the future, inshallah. So the resumes, as you know, has the main details or main data about you, your name, your email, your education, your background experience, and the application forms also, that when you're going to apply to any job or even an internship, the first step is to fill out the application forms. So those are types of methods, types of applications and methods that you can get background information from the for the applicants. And here also we have reference checks and background checks. Background checks also, you have to see what are the previous experience of the job applicants, what is his criminal records, and any previous activities that are related to the job applicant. Okay, and the reference checks, it's about the reference that the applicant include in his application, and you will get in touch with whether it is a previous job boss or a previous manager, and you try to get information from. So you're getting your background information from those methods and types. Okay. So those are samples of the tests. As we see, I like to remind you here that we have in testing and reviewing work samples. So those are some employment tests in work samples. So you are testing the physical ability, the cognitive ability, okay, job performance tests, medical examination, drug test, honesty test. I know not all of those tests are used in each organization. It depends on the type of the job, whether it mainly depends on the physical activities or physical abilities, or whether it has mainly depending on the cognitive ability. Okay. So those are the types of tests, but not each organization and not every organization is depending on all of them. Okay. Then when we move to the step of the interview, we are having types of interview. This also is very important. You have to know the different types of the interview. We have non-directive interview, structured interview, situational, and behavior. And the questions that we cover in the second part of the final revision will cover all these types. But just briefly, non-directive interview is about, you can call it also unstructured interview, that depend mostly on the open-ended questions. And the open-ended questions are questions that has no choices, like tell us about blah blah blah. So this is unstructured interview, and the goal of the unstructured interview is to get much more information. You are trying the job applicant to talk freely and giving more details in something that you need. Okay, and then next, the structured interview. In the structured interview, you're having whether it's semi-structured or structured questions that has yes or no answers, or has a known choices to choose from. So this is a structured interview with previously prepared questions. Okay. Situational, you are mainly this type of interview is asking about situations. Tell me a situation when you were blah blah blah. Okay, and here also behavior description. You're trying to test his behavior about about something. Okay, let's move on. I like to go back to these. As I said, in each stage of the selection process, the number of the applicants will reduce. Okay, so how the organizations select employees, we have two types or two models. Okay, how the organizations select employees, we have two types. First, the multiple hurdle model. Multiple hurdle model means in each stage you will reduce the number of applicants, like the process of arriving at selection decision. When you reach the selection decision, you will eliminate some candidates at each stage of the selection process. This is what I told you, that at each stage you will reduce number of job candidates. Okay, this is called multiple hurdle model. Okay, hurdle means حواجز, that you are making much hurdles to reduce the candidates. And compensatory model, this is the other type. When you arrive to the selection decision in which a very high score of one type of assessment can make up for a low score in another. So this is called compensatory model. So you are trying to see the overall stage that the overall stages that the candidate move on and pass on. For example, the medical test, the physical ability, the cognitive ability, having some IQ test, having an English test. You're here, you're getting the overall grade or overall score of the candidate. But here in this multiple hurdle model, in each test you will filter the candidates and try to reduce that candidate. Okay, this is the difference between these two selection methods. Then when you reach to the selection decision, you have to communicate with the applicants, okay, and tell to them what is the result of these tests that we have made. So when a candidate has been selected, the organization should communicate the offer. We are having job offer, okay, after you selected the employees and selected the candidates. The job offer should include, first you will tell that we are more than happy and we are glad to inform you that you are accepted to join our organization or to be part of the organization, and those are the responsibilities of the job, 1, 2, 3, and the work schedule, for example, it will be from 8 a.m. up to 3 p.m. and we have 1 hour break in the afternoon. Rate of pay, for example, you will specify that in an hour you will get blah blah blah, in a month you will, in a week, in a month, the rate of pay. Starting date, the expected starting date, it will be next Saturday, for example in May 1 or June 1, and other relevant details. So this is the job offer. And after the job offer, job candidates also can refuse this offer. So you are not very confident that when you give them the job offer, they will accept. Some applicants, after these all stages, will just refuse the job offer. Okay. Moving on. Next, we'll have the chapter 7 is training. Okay. So what is training? I think it's very simple concept. Training any organization and organizations plan effort to help employees acquire job-related knowledge, skills, abilities, and behavior with the goal of applying these on job. So you're not training them general topics. No, you're giving them the related knowledge, skills, abilities, and behaviors that will be applied on their jobs and that are needed to perform their jobs. This is what meant by training. Training can benefit the organization when it is linked to organizational needs and motivate employees. Of course, it will be very beneficial, as I said, if you give training that fulfill the needs of the organization. Okay. Moving on, what are the process or stages of training? Okay, an effective training program is designed to teach skills, as we mentioned, skills and behaviors that will help the organization achieve its goals. Okay, so this is the main goal of training program. HR professionals approach training through instructional designs. What is meant by structural design is a process of systematically developing training to meet specified needs, as we say, but it is systematic. Okay, you're developing a training to meet a specified needs. So we'll begin from this end, specified needs, and it will be the first step in designing this program. So the first step when you are going to develop a training program is to assess the needs for training. Why are we going to develop this training program and what is needed to be delivered? So assess the needs for training, whether to improve the communication skills, to improve the computer skills. We have any technological changes, so we need to train the employees to deal with. So this is the stage of assessing needs for training. And then ensure the readiness of training and readiness, who will be ready for the training. We have trainees, we have trainer, we have the place of the training program, and have the costs. Every step has cost, so you have to make sure that you are ready for the cost of training. Then we'll make an actual plan. Then we'll put the needs in a sort of objectives. Who are the trainers of this program? What is the method of training? Whether it is online training or class training, whether it's a lecture or seminar, whether it's on the job while they are working or off the job. Okay, so those are the methods of training. Then implement training program. You're using the principles of learning and transfer of training. Okay, at the end, you will evaluate the results of the whole process. As we said here, we have objectives. So the results you will try to compare between the employee after the training and before the training, whether he achieved the objectives of the training program or no, whether the training program as a whole met the expected results or not. Okay, so this is the instructional design of training. Okay, quite simple. This is what is needed in this chapter, just to know what is training and what are the steps of training. Next, we have developing employees for future success. As you may remember, in chapter 1, you are always combining the training and development, and those are the functions of human resource management. So training, you're given the basic needs for performing a job. The development, employee development is a combination of formal education, job experiences, relationships, and assessments of personality and abilities to help employees prepare for the future of their careers. Okay, it's a combination of that, but is mainly about preparing the employees for change in new jobs, responsibilities, and requirements. So any changes happen in the job, you will get a development program. You are developing. So this is the main difference between the training and development, that the training is giving the current knowledge, but the development is giving you the future knowledge. And here we have a comparison between what is training and what is development. Okay, for the focus of the training, as I said, is you are given the current knowledge and skills and behaviors that are needed to perform the current job. While the development, like for example, you are preparing one employee who is experienced to be a manager next year. So you are trying to give him development for a future job. Okay, I hope you can understand that. Use of work experiences here is low because training is mainly you are giving him the basic steps of the job or the basic knowledge and skills for the job, so the experience is low. While here he has already worked and he has already experienced, so the experience is high. The goal of training, as I said, preparation for current job, and here preparation for future jobs or for future changes. Okay, the participation here is required for training because each employee should have knowledge and sufficient knowledge about the job he's going to perform. So this is required, while the development is voluntary. Whether you like it or not, it's up to you. Okay, so what are the approaches of employee development? We have two approaches. First, formal education. Okay, it's not two. Okay, we'll just continue. We have a formal education, whether you will make like the training, whether it's workshops, short courses, lectures, simulations, business games, or experiential programs. And many companies operate training and development centers. So many companies has their own training and development centers, so they will not need always trainers or external trainers or external spaces to perform their trainings. Okay, assessment here it's about collecting information and providing feedback to employees about their behavior, communication, and style or skills. Okay. Information for assessment may come from the employees, their peers, managers, and customers. So this is information assessment. Okay. So the first approach you will give formal education. The second approach, you are collecting information from the surroundings of the employees, whether the managers, their peers, their co-workers, the customers. Okay, to know what are their current behaviors and skills in communication. And then also we have job experiences, combination of tasks, relationships, problems, demands, and other features of an employee's jobs. Most employee development occurs through job experience. Okay, so they are just dependent on the job experience that you get through the job. You are combining between the tasks, relationships, problems, and demands that featured the previous job that you are in. Job experiences events include job assignments, interpersonal relationships, types of transitions. Okay. So through these experiences, managers learn how to handle common challenges and prove themselves because they go through most of the problems and challenges. They dealt with many situations. So the job experience will help them or learn them how to handle common challenges and prove themselves. Okay. This is the job experience, and this is what is needed from this chapter, only to know what is development and how it is different from training, and what are the approaches, the main approaches of development. Okay, next we'll cover the high performance organizations. Okay, and we also have to know what is high performance work systems. Okay, the right combination of people, technology, and organizational structure that makes full use of the organization's resources and opportunities in achieving its goals. So this is a system. System has people, has technology and organizational structures all combined uh, with the opportunities and the organization's resources in order to achieve the overall goal of the organization. So this is called the high performance work system. Each element in this system must fit well with others in a smoothly functional whole. Okay? So what are the elements of high performance work systems as it is shown in the definition? You can break down this definition and you can know what are the elements. Here first we have the organizational structure. Okay? The way organization groups its people into useful divisions, departments, and reporting relationships. So the way the organization divide the jobs, making job divisions, people divisions, departments, and reporting relationship is important for the overall system. Okay. Then we have task design. Determines how details of the organization's necessary activities will be grouped also. Okay. People, the human resources, of course, well suited and well prepared for their jobs. The people should be talented, has the important qualifications in order to perform this high performance work system. What are the reward systems in your organization? This is very important element of the high performance work system. So the reward systems encourages people to strive for objectives that support organizations' overall goals, and information systems enables sharing information widely. So those are important 5 elements in the high performance work system. Okay. Then we'll cover the conditions that contribute 10 conditions that contribute to high performance. What are the conditions in order an organization perform high performance? Okay. First, the teams perform the work. Okay. Teams are performing what is needed from them in a timely basis, in the quality needed. Okay. Then we are having the employees participating in the selection. Okay, employees participate in selection. Employees receive formal performance feedback and are involved in performance improvement processes. Okay, so here in this selection, employees have to participate in the decision making, have to participate in selecting what is needed to be, what are the methods of performing a job. Okay, and employees also should receive always feedback, formal feedback about what, how good are they performing the jobs, and are involved in performance improvement processes. The ongoing training, so always whenever the employees needs to be trained, there should be an ongoing training. Okay, and employees rewards and compensation, of course, in order to stay motivated to perform the jobs. Equipment and processes, so don't ask the employees something and they do not have their own equipments and the full equipments needed to perform the job. So the equipment and work processes and technology should encourage maximum flexibility and interaction among employees. And employees participate in planning changes in equipment layout, as we said in the beginning. Work design, the design of the work of employees should allow them to use variety of skills, writing skills, communication skills, and computer skills, and also networking and so on. So not just one type of skills that will be used. No, it should promote a variety of skills. Employees understand how their jobs contribute to finished products or services, and this will boost the motivation and will encourage them very much. When you will know what is your contribution in developing a new product or service. Of course, ethical behavior is encouraged. So you can say that those are the 10 conditions to have a high performance work system. Okay. Here we have a customer-oriented perspective of human resource management. So in order to have this oriented perspective, the customer-oriented perspective, you have to know first who are your customers. Who are the customers that are benefited from the services and products you are producing? So um, the line managers, strategic planners, and employees. Who are your customers? Okay, so as a human resource management, you are having some products and services or some sort of outcome, like as we mentioned, helping in advisory rules or giving training and selection, making feedback for performance. So you have customers that are receiving these products. These customers are the line managers and the strategic partners and planners and employees. What do they need? Okay, these internal customers, what they need? Committed employees and competent employees. Mhm. And how do we meet customer needs? We have to make a qualified staffing that we previously elaborate in the selection. So you are working hard in order to have a qualified staff in the organization, performance management, rewards, and training development. So this perspective is very important. You are looking for the managers and employees and line managers and strategic partners as customers that you need to satisfy them. Okay. So this is the end of this chapter. This is what is needed to know in a human, in the high performance work system, just to know what is the definition, what are the elements of the definition, what are the conditions, and this perspective, customer-oriented perspective. Next, we have managing employees' performance. So what is meant by performance management? What is the definition? Performance management means process through which managers ensure that employees' activities and outputs contribute to the organization's goals. Okay, so you are ensuring that all the effort that is done contributes to the organizational goals. All employees' activities and the outputs has an impact to the organization's goals. So you are always having the expected performance and the actual performance and always trying to match this performance with the organization's goals. This process of performance management requires knowing what activities and outputs are desired. Okay, so this is the expected performance, observing whether they occur, and this lies the evaluation and the appraisal, and providing feedback to help employees to meet the expectations. Okay, so it's very simple, quite simple. Knowing the activities desired, observing what have been occurred, and providing feedback. Okay, so what is the purpose of this whole process? Purposes of performance management. We have three main purposes. First, the strategic purpose, and it is related to that performance management helps the organization achieve its business objectives. So the organization or the HR department is trying to make sure that this performance that is achieved or that is done, the performance is fulfilling the strategic and the business objectives. Okay. Then we are having administrative purposes, and these ways in which organizations use the system to provide information for day-to-day decisions about salary, benefits, and recognition programs. Okay, so this is the administrative purpose. And developmental purpose serves as a basis for developing employees' knowledge and skills. So those are the purposes of performance management. We are having a strategic purpose. You are aligning the performance with the strategic and business objectives. Administrative purpose, like you are trying to provide information for day-to-day decisions. And developmental purposes, you are trying to develop the employees' knowledge and skills through the performance management and through the ongoing feedback. Okay, this is very important. So this is what needed in this chapter, just to know what is performance management and what is the purpose of performance management. Moving on, the next chapter is about separating and retaining employees. And here it is talking about the justice. So you have organizational justice and how to keep an employee in an organization. Okay. First, we'll try to differentiate between involuntary turnover and voluntary turnover. The involuntary turnover, like you are not the one leaving the organization, okay? But the turnover is initiated by an employer. The employer is the one making the whether it is firing decision or retirement decision, early retirement decision. So it is not by your desire, okay? So it is initiated by an employer. Here, often with employees who would prefer to stay. But the voluntary turnover, it is initiated by employees who wanted to leave the organization. And often when the organization would prefer to keep them. So you have to differentiate between the involuntary turnover and voluntary turnover. Okay. Here, as I like to move on first to show you what is the progressive discipline responses. When you are trying to terminate some employee or to try to fire an current employee, you have some steps you are moving or going through in order to make the firing decision or the termination decision. So what are those steps? Here, for example, you are having an employee who is making a low performance and always making problems, counterproductive performance or behavior. So first you are having an official spoken warning. You are warning him and officially as a manager. Okay. Then you will, if he did not stop doing that bad behavior, you will send him an official written warning. And if he continues, you will send him a second written warning plus a threat of temporary suspension. Then temporary suspension plus written notice that this is the last chance to improve, and then he will fire the employee. Okay, so those are the this is the progressive discipline responses. It is different from the hot stove rule. Okay, hot stove rule means the principle of discipline that says discipline should be like a hot stove, given a clear warning and following up a consistent, objective, and immediate consequences. So the hot stove is like you are given clear warning once and then you will fire after that. Okay, there is no stages that you will go through. It's like just hot stove. Okay, but as we mentioned, the progressive discipline in which the consequences become more serious if the employee repeats the offensive behavior. Okay. And here, in order not to separate between the employees, because this chapter is entitled Separation. So in order not to make separation between employees, you have to make some justice principles. Principles of justice. First, you have outcome fairness or outcome justice. And this is about the judgment that the consequences given to employees are just. And the meaning of that is that the justice here is that you ensure that any output given to employees are just. Like, for example, benefits. If you give benefits to employees, so it should be equal. Salaries, it should be in equal basis. It depends, surely it depends on the type of the job, but you know what is the cause of this. Okay, so this is called the outcome fairness or outcome justice, that the outcomes that are offered to all employees are equal. Okay, As for the procedural justice, a judgment that fair, who is judging here, by the way? The employee. It's the perspective and perceived justice. The employee perceived whether the organization is offering justice for him or not. So here, as we said, the outcomes that he is getting here is about the procedures that he's going through in order to complete any consequence. So here, a judgment from the employee that fair methods were used to determine the consequences an employee receives. For example, here, procedural justice are perceived through, for example, you are asking for early leave, or you're asking for a vacation. So whether you get the same procedural um, that all the employees that are asking for vacation are going through. So you are perceiving that all the procedures are equal. There is justice in the procedures. Okay. Then we have the interactional justice, a judgment that the organization carried out its actions in a way that took the employees' feelings into account. Okay, and in the interactional justice, here it's about the interaction between employees and their managers, and it's about the degree to which the people affected by the decisions are treated in a dignity and respect. Okay, this is about the interactional justice. It's more about the interpersonal treatment people receive when procedures are implemented. Okay, this interactional justice is more about the interpersonal treatment people receive, whether it has a justice or not. Okay, then we'll move to a concept which is job satisfaction. What is meant by job satisfaction? Job satisfaction, a pleasant feeling resulting from the perception that one's job fulfills or allows for the fulfillment of one's important job values. So here you are satisfied of your job. You are feeling that this job is fulfilling your needs and fulfilling your job values. Okay. So what are the components of job satisfaction? We have the values and then perception, as you can see in the definition, the form of perception. So if you perceive that organization has justice, as we mentioned here, has a procedural and outcome and interactional justice, you will be satisfied. If you perceived the opposite, you will be unsatisfied. Okay, and then the ideas of what is important, like what you need in your job, what one's important job values. Okay, people will be satisfied with their jobs as long as they perceive. It's about perception, about what you think others are doing for you. So perceive that their jobs meet their important values. Mhm. Whether your important values are job security, career development, whether your important values are higher salary. So it depends on the employees. It's different from one employee to another. These are the important values that one has. So whether you feel or perceive that the job meets these important values, you will be satisfied or not. And pay and benefits impact job satisfaction, especially pay structure and pay raises. Okay. Here, as we said, You may have uh, you are not working for the sake of work, or you are not working for the sake of the organization. You are working at the end to get money, to get salary. So the pay and benefits impact greatly the job satisfaction, especially pay structure and pay raises. Okay. As for the supervisors and co-workers, co-workers and supervisors also affect job satisfaction. So first here we said that the pay and benefits affect the job satisfaction. Also, co-workers and supervisors affect job satisfaction. A person may be satisfied with them because they share same values, attitudes, and philosophies. So there is no contradiction or differences between you and your co-workers, between you and your supervisors. There is some sort of harmony in your work and in your job values, so you are satisfied. Second, provide social support, meaning they are sympathetic and caring. Okay, so they are supporting you, they are encouraging you. Okay, not having the negative attitudes and behaviors like the gossips or lying to each other or keeping the information from each other. No, if these bad behaviors happens in the organization, you are more likely to be unsatisfied from your job. But if you are receiving social support and um, care from your supervisors, your managers, and your co-workers, you are more likely to be satisfied. Next, help the person attain some valued outcome. And here you feel in your job that you are progressing, you're not standing in one point. So when you feel that others are helping you to get progress and having new values in having career development, you will be more likely satisfied from this job. Okay, quite simple and quite easy. Next, we are going to cover chapter 12, 13, and 14, and all are about establishing a pay structure. Okay, pay structure. The decisions about pay. Here we have the job structure. And job structure is about relative pay for different jobs within the organization. Okay, we have normally different jobs in the organization, uh, like accountant, sales manager, marketing manager, and so on. And here, as example for job structure defines the difference between the entry-level accountant and the accounting department manager, and the organization counterpart. Okay, so this is the job structure. According to your level, whether it's in entry level or manager, the job structure and will be done. Okay, so it's related to the different jobs in the organization. And then pay level. This is about the average amount the organization pays for a particular job. So we have a particular job, and this is the amount of pay that the organization will initiate. So we're having job structure, we're having pay level. Job structure and pay levels both establish a pay structure. They're establishing a pay structure that helps organization achieve goals related to employee motivation, cost control, and the ability to attract and retain talented human resources. So pay policy resulting from job structure, as I said, and pay level decisions. Okay. Why pay is important? I think this is very easy question and you can answer it by logic. You don't have to read this slide. You have to answer it by logic. So why pay is important? Pay is a powerful tool for meeting the organization's goals and a major cost to care. It's also a cost. So an organization cannot just pay the employees without a plan because at the end this is a cost for the organization. Pay has a large impact on employee attitudes and behaviors, as we mentioned previously, and it influences the kinds of people who are attracted to the organization. This is very important. When you will be an experienced employee in the future, inshallah, you will have more knowledge and skills and experience. You will search for jobs and organizations that will offer higher salary. So higher salary is attracting and also attaining the the talented and highly qualified people. Okay, so that's why it influences the kinds of people that will apply for the organization. That's why it's very important decision. Employees attach great importance to pay decisions when they evaluate the relationship with their employer. Okay, so these are the main points of why pay is important. Of course, we're having some sort of issues or some challenges when you're developing the pay structure because you're not developing this structure separately. You have to take some elements in consideration when you are developing this structure. Like here, for example, the equal pay for equal work. Like all of the people who are working the same job has the same equal pay. Okay, so these are legal requirements in order to be legally performing in the organization. Organizations also must apply the minimum wage, and this is the minimum pay that any organization should pay to the employees and not less than this minimum wage. Overtime pay, also you are paying for the employees who are working overtime than the daily or weekly times they are working on. So these are some legal requirements that affect in developing the pay structure. Second, we have market forces also. The products that are available in the markets and compared to your products, the labor markets, there are many organizations that are working like you and offering the same salary. How can you attract those employees and candidates to your organization? So you have to make sure that you know about the labor market. Also the organization's goals, high quality or just normal quality, cost control. Don't forget that the pay is considered a cost. So if you pay high um, for your employees, you are more likely to make higher costs for your organization and less profitability at the end for the organization. So it's a very important issue to talk about the cost control. Okay, and then we have the pay level decision, job structure decision, and pay structure decisions. The pay rates, the pay grades, ranges, and differentials. All those are set on the decision of pay structure. So this is a very critical issue in the organizations. Okay. I would like to go through computing the overtime pay. Okay, here is a very simple and useful example for computing an overtime pay. Here, for example, an employee is getting a base pay of $12 per hour. So we're having $12 per hour plus $40 per week. These $40 per week are bonuses. Okay. And employees are working weekly 40 regular hours, okay, and 10 hours overtime. So in total 50 hours, okay. To calculate first the 40 regular hours, we're having the base pay, the $12 per hour. You will multiply it by the 40 hours. So in total you will have $480. Okay, the pay per hour, and the total hours you will have total $480. Then the bonuses you have, you will add also $40 of the weekly bonuses. So in total in the week you have $520. And then we'll take this total and we'll divide it again to the hours that you are regularly working after adding the bonus. In order to get the hourly rate, you have to know what is the hourly rate, because these $12 and 40 hours is just the base pay in an hour. Okay, and this is the 40 of the week, so you'll divide the total on the 40 hours, total 40 hours, in order to get $13 per hour. So this is the hourly rate, combining between the base pay and the bonus. Okay, next you will take this number and begin to compute the overtime rate. And here we multiply it by 1.5 because it is 1 is the regular basis and the half is the overtime. So you are multiplying it by 1.5 and you are getting $19. This is the hourly pay of the overtime, and then you have 10 hours of the overtime, so you'll multiply the $19.5 by 10 and you will get at the end $195. So just a simple calculation in order to know how the overtime pay is calculated. Okay. Next, we are trying to put all the elements together in order to reach the end stage, which is pay structure. So you are putting it all together in the pay structure. You are starting first from the job evaluation, job structure, and then defining the key jobs, moving to the pay survey, pay policy, pay rates, pay grades, pay ranges, and at the end pay structure. You don't have to go in details about what is in each step, just to know the main steps in order to reach the pay structure, and all the elements should be put together in order to reach to this step. Okay. So when you are paying for individual performance, you are paying for whether it's piecework rates. Here you are paying for the by piece produced by an employee. So whether it is one product, one piece or two pieces, So it is piece work rates and standard hour plans, and it depends on the hours that the employee works. The merit pay, it depends on the performance of the employee. Okay. Individual bonuses depends on the extraordinary performance, and for example, and for sure the sales commission that is related to the sales of products. Okay. This is the piece work rates, a wage based on the amount of worker produced, as I said. So whether you are producing a one piece or two piece, so you are getting paid according to the amount you are producing. Then straight piece work plan, incentive pay in which the employer pays the same rate per piece no matter how much a worker produces. Okay, so all of the employees are getting the same amount of per piece or piece work produced. But here the difference is no matter how much the worker produces. So this is a straight piece work plan, and this is a differential. Differential is different from this because it depends on the amount produced, and this is, I think, more justice, that you will pay every employee according to what he produces and not about the straight piece work plan. Okay, this is no matter how much the worker produces. This is you're getting higher incentive when a greater amount is produced. Okay, again, as we mentioned why the pay is important, here also we'll mention why benefits are important for employees. Benefits contribute to attracting, retaining, and motivating employees, so it is very important, like the pay. And benefits could be tangible and intangible, by the way. Okay, and it's important for attracting so employees to get in order to apply for organization, and retaining means keeping the employees and they will not leave our organization. Okay, then we have variety of possible benefits. Helps employers tailor their compensation to kinds of employees they need. Okay, so you're trying to um, like connect between the compensation and the employees they need. So it has a benefit for the employer itself. Employees have come to expect that benefits will help them maintain economic security. So as I said, it is related to the values of the employees. So it will maintain a security, job security, and economic security for an employee, and also will not forget that the benefits and pay are significant costs for the organization. Okay. Here are some examples for benefits that are required by law. So every organization should follow these benefits. Like you have to offer a social security for your employees, like and it is required from the employer. Okay, flat payroll tax on employees and employers, and unemployment insurance. Here we're making in payroll tax on employers that depends on state requirements and experience and trainings and so on. So those are some examples of the benefits that are required by law and the employer requirement. Okay, so this is what needed in these chapters 12, 13, and 14, just to know a brief summary about what is pay, the importance of pay, some challenges, and how to calculate overtime pay, and so on. just summary of it. Okay, then moving to chapter 15, we have collective bargaining and labor relations. Okay, and in this chapter we are going to cover the unions and labor relations. As for unions, as you know, you are most familiar by this term, unions. Organizations, they are organizations that form for the purpose of representing their members' interests in dealing with employers. As you know, here we have labor unions related to each organization and each field of expertise. And labor relations is a field that emphasizes skills managers and union leaders can use to minimize costly forms of conflict. Okay, so you're not like an organization that's full of conflict and full of strikes and strikes a robot and seek win-win situation. So you are always aiming to have a win-win solution that the employer and the employee benefited from this being here and or working here in an organization. Okay, next we are having levels of labor relations decisions. We are having 3 levels. The first one is labor relations strategy. And the labor relations strategy is about you are taking decision whether you will work with unions or develop or maintain non-unions operations. See, here you are having to take a decision as a management whether you will work with unions or not. And this decision is influenced by outside forces such as public opinion and communication and competition. Okay, it's affected by public opinion and competition. Then negotiation contracts, and here contract negotiations in the union setting involve decisions about the pay structure. This negotiating contract, it is about what we mentioned previously, the job structure, the pay structure, job security and work rules and workplace safety. So the public opinion is like making pressure for the organization in order to provide an equal pay and provide job security and work rules and workplace safety for all of the employees. And then administering contracts. And these decisions involve the day-to-day activities in which union members and the organization's managers may have disagreements. Like if the employees are complaining about the work rules and workers being treated unfairly and so on. Okay, this is the administering contracts. So here, whether you will work with the unions or not, here is about the job security, the pay structure and workplace safety, and here about the fair treatment and the work rules in a daily basis. Okay. And some organizations are not dealing within the unions for some reason. Okay, so here there is a decline. There is a clear decline in a union membership. So not all the organizations are having a union related to their employees. Why is that? Because this change in the structure of the economy. Okay, So not all the organizations are dependent on unions or having a contracts with unions that are caring for their employees, because the structure of the economy has changed, okay, and management efforts to control costs, and also the HR practices here and government regulations. So the structure of the economy is moving more to the service industries such as finance and insurance and real estate. And those companies have lower union representation than manufacturing. So this is one reason of the lower dependence on the union membership, that the change of the structure of economy. Here we can say that the unionized workers, so the workers who have membership in the union organizations, receive higher pay than their ununionized counterparts. And the pressure is greater because the international competition. That's why the organizations are no longer motivated to have a membership in the union in order to control the costs. As for the HR practices, they like organizations and HR departments are thinking to cover the role of the unions instead of dependent on them, and that is regarding the competition of scarce human resources. This leads us to offer much of what employees traditionally sought through union membership. So you do not have to be a union member to get an equal pay, or to get job security or employee safety. No, now the new view of the human resources management practices are covering all of these practices. And as for the government regulations, so the regulations are more stricter now. There are strict regulations in the areas of workplace safety and equal employment opportunity, which leaves fewer areas in which unions can show an advantage over what employers must already offer. So this was a traditional view that all organization was members of these unions. But now, no, there is a clear awareness and improved awareness of the importance of employees and importance of keeping and satisfied human resources in the organization. So you do not need to or your employees do not need to be members of these unions in order to keep their rights and make them safe. No, organizations are already fully aware of that and are striving in order to have a healthy working environment in their organizations. Okay, and here what supervisors should and should not do to discourage unions. So what should they do, and what should they avoid? Here, for example, uh, they should report any direct or indirect signs of union activity to a core management group, and deal with employees by carefully stating the company responses to pro-union arguments. These responses should be coordinated by the company to maintain consistency and to avoid threats and promises. I don't know if this is very important for you to know or not, but just have a general idea about it, but it will not have a clear question in the exam. You just have to know about what to do and what not to do as a supervisor with the unions, okay? The final chapter in our book, chapter 16. and it is about managing human resources globally. Okay, so here we have to talk about three main concepts of the international workforce. I know all of us have some ideas about the international companies and multinational companies that are operating in our countries, like Coca-Cola, like Procter and Gamble. All of those are multinational companies that are operating in our country. So we have to differentiate between three concepts, which are the parent country and the host country and the third country level. Okay. As for the parent country is a country that in which the organization's headquarters is located. So the headquarters of an organization is located. Like for example, General Motors, a multinational company. It is the headquarters of this company is located in the United States. So any employee who is born and working in United States in which an organization's headquarters is located in which the General Motors is located in, so he is called a parent country national. Okay, again, so first we are having parent country is the home country of the organization, and then any employee who was born in this country is called parent country national. Okay, then we have a host country. A host country is the country in which an organization operates a facility. Like for example, Egypt is a host country if General Motors has facilities in Egypt. So we are a host country, we are hosting this organization. So any employee who is a citizen of the country other than the parent country, so any employee who works in General Motors from Egypt, he will be called as host country national. Okay, I hope you can differentiate between those. So this is the headquarters where the organization is located, and here the host country that you are hosting the facilities of the organization, and the employees who will work in this organization will be called host country national. And then we have third country national. This is a third country who has is not neither the parent country or not a host country, so it has no relation by both. It's just a country that not have the headquarter or is not hosting the operations of this organization. So the employee who is a citizen of a country that is neither a parent country nor the host country will be called as a third country national. So we are having three types: parent country, host country, and third country. Here for our example, as we said in General Motors, here General Motors in the United States, so any United States citizen will be called parent country national. The second level, General Motors that is operating in Egypt, so any Egyptian employee who will work in these General Motors will be called as host country national. The third level is an other country at all that is not a parent or host country. So for example, like a German employee or Chinese employee who will work in the organization, he will be called a third country national. And we have the expatriates. Expatriates are employees assigned to work in other countries. Okay, so here they are like the third country national, or if you are a country that you are hosting an organization and you hire an employee from other countries, so this employee will be called expatriates. Okay, expatriates. Then next we'll have a look about the levels of global participation. So as we know that there is globally movement toward working in many countries, and not only in the domestic level but also in the international and multinational levels. Okay, so as for the international, we all know that domestic level is on the parent country itself, the corporate headquarters. And then when we are operating internationally, so international organization is an organization that sets up one or a few facilities in one or a few foreign countries. So you are working in one or few other foreign countries. Okay. As for the multinational company, you're having here the corporate headquarters, but an organization that builds facilities in a number of different countries. So here we have different countries. In an effort to minimize the production and distribution cost, you will be called as a multinational company. So the international, you are moving your facility to one or few facilities in one or few foreign countries. But here you are operating in many different countries in order to reduce the production and distribution costs. The global organizations are defined as organizations that chooses to locate a facility based on the ability to effectively, efficiently, and flexibly produce a product or service using cultural differences as an advantage. So it is like the multinational, but you are making use of the cultural differences. Okay, so these are the difference between domestic, international, multinational, and global. Okay. Here are some emotional stages when you are working in a new country. Okay, so when you are going to be assigned in a foreign country, at the beginning, for example, for a month after arriving to that country, for example, you are an Egyptian citizen and you're going to work at, for example, Germany or USA. So after arriving, you will enjoy something called honeymoon. Okay, like a honeymoon of fascination and euphoria as the employee enjoy the novelty of new culture. So you are impressed by the new culture and the new people that you are going to deal with. So this is the first stage of associated in the emotional stages when you are going to a new country, a new culture. Then you will be shocked. You will face a cultural shock. Okay, so a cultural shock is some sort of discomfort that occur during the process of adjusting to a new culture. So at the beginning, you're just not dealing a lot with people, so you're feeling that, oh, how impressive this culture. And then you will try to get deeper in to the relationships. So you will have a cultural shock, and this is a discomfort in dealing with new culture. After that, if you persist and not give up, so if employees persist and continue learning about this host country's culture, you will begin to recover from culture shock and develop a greater understanding and support network. So you will pass to the recovery if you are persistent and you continue learning about this culture and trying to understand these cultural differences, so you will be recovered. And then the last emotional stage is the adjustment. And here, as you get more familiar with the language skills and the comfort increases, the employee reaches a stage of adjustment in which he or she accepts and enjoys the host country culture. So it is quite simple, but not that easy. Some people cannot live with these cultural differences and cannot adapt with the changes from their home country. So those are the emotional stages that associated with foreign assignments: being happy, shocked, recovered, and trying to adjust. Okay. Here we are trying to assess the candidates for overseas assignments. So how can you hire international or candidates from outside your country? You will assess them according to what? Like as we mentioned in the stage of the recruitment, you are trying to set some requirements of the job applicant. Here also, how to assess the candidates for overseas assignments, how to know that he can work abroad. Here we have some uh, points to assess the candidates upon: the motivation and health, language ability, family considerations, and so on. As for the motivation, so you are asking the candidate what are the reasons and degree of interest in wanting an overseas assignment, because it is not important and it's costly for the organization to send an employee overseas, or for organization to just hire an external employee even if the labor force is not that cheap. Okay, so what is the motivation? Does the candidate have a realistic understanding of what is required in working and living overseas? Overseas means outside, abroad. Okay. And the health. Are there any health issues with the candidate or family members that might impact the success of overseas assignment or not? The language ability. So if you are going to hire um, employees from China, or your company is in China and you are trying to hire employees from Egypt, for example, so what is the language ability? How is the language ability? So does the candidate have the potential to learn new language or not? So it's important to take it into consideration. Family considerations. So if the candidate has a wife, so what is the wife's goal in this move overseas? How is the wife, or if she is the one moving, so what is the husband goal in this move? And how many children they have, um, there is a potential for divorce or not. So all these family considerations should be taken into account. Resourcefulness, and you may consider, is the candidate independent and capable of standing by his own and his decision or not? Is the candidate able to meet objectives and produce positive results or not? So he should be a responsible, highly responsible person. And of course, adaptability. Adaptability, as mentioned, is the candidate cooperative, open to new opinions, open to new cultures, and able to compromise? And how does the candidate react to new situations and efforts to understand and appreciate cultural differences? So, how can he adapt with the cultural differences? And then we're having career planning and the financial issues. So, are there any current financial or legal considerations that might affect the assignment, like house, car, college expenses? So, any other financials that will affect these travel? As for the career planning, so does the candidate consider the assignment more than a temporary overseas or not? And here are the some of the issues. Okay, that is summarized here. Just have a quick idea about each element. For the motivation, the health, language ability, resourcefulness, adaptability, and career planning and financial issues. Okay, the expatriates. As we said, the expatriates are employees who are not from the host country or the parent country. So we have to prepare the expatriates. How to prepare them? There should be pre-assignment site visit, like you will visit that country and you will visit the organization. Job orientation, you try to make an orientation about the job. What are the main tasks and duties required? What services you will produce, what products you produce, and so on. So you are having an overview about the job. Not only the job, because you're working in other countries, so there is a country orientation. You have to know what is the main customs of that country, where to live, and what is about health insurance, and so on. And we have culture orientation, and here you are trying to know about the culture differences about you and your host, the other countries you are going to work in. So this culture orientation. And for here we have the language and language training. This is so important in order to have no barriers in communication between you and the other countries you are going to work in. Compensation, benefits, taxes, counseling. So here you have to know about, you have to manage the salaries and benefits when you are hiring an expatriate. As we mentioned, the housing counseling, healthcare, and schools if the candidate has a family and has children, and so all of these are important when you are preparing the expatriate to join your organization. Okay, then helping expatriates return home. Repatriation. So expatriation is that the employee is hired in other country, and the opposite of it is repatriation. So repatriation process of preparing expatriates to return home from foreign assignment, going back. So First, we have communication. Expatriate receives information and recognizes changes at home while abroad, and the validation given expatriate recognition for overseas service when this person returns home. So you are giving him recognition that he serves outside the country. Okay. This is the end of our 16 chapters, except chapter 3. So from 1 to 16, just have an overview about those chapters. Let's move now to the Q's and A's. We'll have questions about each topic. Okay. So these are the Q's and A's that will cover the whole chapters. We'll just go through it quickly, and you will have the full materials uploaded, inshallah, with this final revision. For here we have a multiple choice question. Supervisors and managers have rules and involvement in HRM. Okay, just let me see here. Okay, just a minute. So this question is in chapter 1. Supervisors and managers have rules and investment in HRM. One of these rules is to provide what kind, so you're providing something, provide what kind, let's see, what kind of environment for employees? Positive environment or beneficial environment or motivational, or negative. So the main goal here of the supervisors and managers who are involved in HRM, what are they aiming for? Yes, they are aiming for motivational, C. So the answer is C. They are aiming for motivational working environment for employees. Okay. So next, the process of defining the way work will be performed and the tasks that a given job requires is called. So here, what is the process of defining how to perform the job and what is required in the job as we described in chapter 1, whether it is job analysis or job design, job requirements, or job processes. The process of defining the way work will be performed and the tasks given a job requires is called job design. Okay, job design. So the answer is letter B, job design. Next, the practice, policies, and systems that influence employees' behaviors are. This is very easy. So this is the first definition that we have. The practice, policies, and systems that influence employees' behavior, attitudes, and performance is called human resource management. So the answer is letter A, human resource management. Okay. Next, employees are interchangeable and can be easily replaced. Is that true or false? This is in the part of competitive advantage. So are employees interchangeable and can be easily replaced? I don't think so, because employees are having the 5 elements or 5 qualities of being a competitive advantage, which are they are rare and scarce, and they are not interchangeable, are not easily replaced. So this phrase is false. Answer is false. Okay. The fundamental principles between right and wrong are called ethics. Okay. So in order to you can differentiate between what is right and what is wrong. So this is ethics. So the answer is letter C. Next, the process through which the organization seeks applications for potential employment is called. Here you are just the organization is seeking applicants, just pooling like attracting only the applicants and creating pool. So this is called recruitment. Yes, perfect. Recruitment. So the answer is letter B. It's not selection. You are not selecting. It's not training, and it's not development. So it is recruitment. Okay, very easy. Next, the planned effort to enable employees to learn job-related knowledge, skills, and behaviors is called training. This is what we call it. You are trying to learn your employees knowledge, skills, and behaviors related to the job. It is not developing because it's not future job. It's not education. It's not in school or university. It's not knowledge training. We have no something called knowledge training. We have just training. Letter C is the answer. Okay. Next, in the changing corporate environment, okay, more and more organizations are awakening to the importance of what as the next competitive advantage. So, what is making competitive advantage in organizations nowadays? We covered that in chapter 1. Job design, human capital, performance management, or workforce planning. We just said that the human capital, the organizations are viewing the human resources as human capital in the organization, and that they are considering them a competitive advantage for the organization. So the answer here is letter B, human capital. Okay. We can get this question. Human resource management most often involves creating and maintaining department morale, controlling labor cost, and protecting employees' health and physical conditions. So, is that true or false? Human resource management most often involves creating and maintaining department morale, controlling labor costs, and protecting employees' health and conditions. So the answer surely is true. Okay. Next. Will works at the position, okay, in his organization. So this is like a situation. Will works at a position in his organization where he maintains contracts within the local community and travels to search for qualified job applicants. Will's position is best described as, so here try to find the keywords in this question. He maintains contacts within a local community and travels to search for qualified job applicants. So what is his job? Recruiter, manager, labor relations specialist, or job analyst? For sure it is recruiter because he is trying to find job applicants, qualified job applicants and creating a working pool. Okay, so next question. Mm, Here we have an organization in which technology, organizational structure, people, and processes work together all to give an organization an advantage in competitive environment. This is called, or this is known as, high performance work system, or high development work system, or human resource planning. So as we mentioned that all the components are working together in order to achieve the organization goal and achieve competitive advantage. So the answer is letter A, high performance work system. Okay. The process of ensuring that employees' activities and inputs match the organization's goals is known as, so here you are trying to match between, as we know, the expected outputs and the actual outputs from the organization and matching it with organization goals. Is it performance management or performance analytics, development or training? It's for sure performance management. So the answer is letter A. It is not training, it's not development, it's not performance analytics. Okay. Let's have other question. Okay. Collecting and using data to show that human resource practices have a positive influence on the company's bottom line or key stakeholders. This is called as performance management, performance analytics, development or training. So we can call this as performance management or performance analytics, evidence-based HR, or training. It is not performance management, not performance analytics. It is evidence-based HR. So evidence-based HR is the collecting and using data to show that human resources practices have a positive influence. Why is that important? Because the traditional view that it is not important to have an HR practices and that all the managers are human resource management, so we do not have this uh, we do not have importance for this department. That's why evidence-based HR is concerned about showing the positive impact of human resource practices in the company's bottom line or key stakeholders. Okay. We have the next. Let's have other question. All of the following are examples of human resource specialists except job analyst, financial advisor, um, compensation manager, or labor relations specialist. So all it's very quite clear that all of those are the responsibilities and specialities of human resource management except letter B. So HR has no something to do with financial issues, so it is not financial advisor. So the answer is letter B. Okay. Next, the use of quantitative tools and scientific methods to analyze data from human resource databases and other sources to make evidence-based decisions that support business goals, whether it's A, workforce analytics, B, talent management, C, evidence-based HR, or labor relations. No, so here the answer is workforce analytics. So the answer is letter A. So this is the definition of workforce analytics. It is the use of quantitative tools and scientific methods to analyze data that comes from human resource management. Okay. I'd like to go through these quickly in order to save some time. All the materials you will find it with the final revision, and you will find the answers also in the PowerPoint, so don't worry. In the past few years, this is a company, so the Acme Global Corporation has been fortunate to have a strong talent pool available from which it can draw employees. This represents the influence of what in the external environment on the organization. Okay, so here this question is related to chapter 2. So what kind of variable that affects the organization, the external environment on the organization? Whether is it society or shareholders, labor force, competition, or governments. So this represents what he mentioned in this case, represents the influence of labor force. So the labor force in the external environment on organization. So the answer is letter C, labor force. Okay. Next, again, the same company. In this corporation, the top manager reports to the board of directors. So try to figure out the keywords in the question. Top manager reports to the board of directors, and the board is not involved in the day-to-day operations for the organization, but it can hire or fire top management. This represents the influence of what in the external environments of the organization. So what is the influence of that? Shareholders, society, technology, economics, or government. So all of those are external variables of the environment that has an influence on the organization. So, but what is related to this, that the board is not involved into day-to-day operations, but can hire or fire top management, is related to the shareholders. Okay, so the answer is letter A, shareholders. Okay, next. This incorporation, an electronics manufacturer, okay, is headquartered in Texas. The firm shifted its operations, okay, concentrate. The firm shifted its operations from Texas to China due to lower labor costs and the availability of required skills in China. This scenario indicates that Palin engaged in the practice of what? Downsizing? No. Downsizing means reducing the number of your employees. Re-engineering? No. Acquiring? No. Benchmarking? No. So the answer is letter C, offshoring. So this is the definition of offshoring. You're trying to move in your operation into other countries in order to have lower labor costs and having more resources. This is called offshoring. Okay. Which of the following scenarios exemplifies an individual in the external labor market? So we have here individual in the external labor market. Which scenario exemplifies him? Carry, a contract worker working for a certain period specified in a written contract. So this is a contract worker. Okay. Andrew, a temporary worker being paid by a company for his services. Jill, an engineering graduate looking for a job. Hillary, an employee going through training. So when we talk about in chapter 2 the internal labor market and the external labor market, we mentioned that the internal labor markets includes the potential candidates or the internal labor markets are the employees who already has contracts with the organization, while the external labor market is about the employees who are searching for a job. So we are getting from our internal labor market from the external labor market. So it is not A because here we have contract, and it's not B because even if it's temporary, but also he is getting paid already from the companies who has a contract. But it will be C because Joe is just an engineering graduate and he is looking for a job. So this is an external labor market, okay? Next. Dave is the project manager at ARC Incorporation. He encourages his team members to have brainstorming sessions before initiating a project to determine the best method to deliver positive results. He provides his team members with complete authority to execute all production tasks independently. This scenario indicates that Dave promotes what? What Dave is trying to promote here. First, we have centralized decision making. I don't think so because he is asking his team members to brainstorm, so it's not centralized decision making. Risk aversion or downsizing? No. Outsourcing? No, because he's asking his own team members. Or employee empowerment? So the answer is letter E, employee empowerment, because Dave is trying to give them some authority, giving them empowerment to work with them in the decisions and try to brainstorm ideas about the project. Okay, so this is employee empowerment. Just trying to move to a new part. In what way does teamwork make work more significant? First, it centralizes authority, so workers do not have to make decisions. Is that the work of teamwork? Or team members have less authority so they can relax? I don't think so. Teams get to work on fast moving assembly lines. Team members contribute to quality and assume many activities traditionally reserved for managers. Yes, I think so. So the answer is letter D. So this what way does teamwork make work more significant? That they contribute all to the quality and assume many activities traditionally reserved by managers. So the answer is letter D. Okay. Carroll Incorporation, a cell phone manufacturer, has its assembly operations performed by Mortimer Corporation, a firm that deals exclusively in assembling products for other companies. This scenario indicates that Carroll engages in the practice of first outsourcing, engineering, re-engineering, downsizing, benchmarking, or acquiring. Here, if you concentrate it in this scenario, we're having a phone manufacturer, and it asks other corporations specialized in assembly to perform the job. So this is called outsourcing. Okay, this scenario reflects the outsourcing because the outsourcing meaning is to ask other company to perform your activities. Okay. According to the core values of total quality management, this is also in chapter 2, which is more clearer here. The progress of employees should be measured through self-evaluation. External customers should not be given any importance while developing any processes. Only key personnel should receive training in quality. Errors in a product or service should be prevented before occurrence. Or internal customers should be valued more than external customers. Think about it. So the answer is letter D. So total quality management is ensuring that all elements of the process has its own quality in order to achieve the total quality management. Okay, therefore the errors in a product or service should be prevented before occurrence. So you will not wait until the product or service at the end will have an error or will have some shortage. No, all the elements that are involved in producing this product or service, whether it's equipment or processes or human elements, all have to be involved in this total quality management. So the answer is letter D. Okay. Next. Mirth Incorporation, a cookie manufacturer, combines with Herd Corporation, a chocolate manufacturer, to form a company called Hobbs Incorporation. This scenario illustrates the consolidation, partnership, acquisition, or merger. I think the key answer is in the question. He said combines with, so the answer is a merger. The two companies merges together. Okay, so this is letter D, merger. The answer is letter D. Okay. Let's skip a lot of questions. Okay, what is it? It's the process of assessing large amounts of data in order to analyze those data and gain insight into significant trends or patterns within organizations or industry. So what is this process? Process of assessing, accessing large amounts of data. So we're having large amount of data in order to analyze those data, whether it's formalization, centralization, data analytics, complexity, or strategy. No, it is letter C, data analytics. Okay. And then again, sorry. What can be used for HRM in functions such as talent acquisition, training and development, retention, and job analysis? Is it data analytics, record keeping, system design, social media, or none of the above? It is data analytics. Okay, so again the answer will be letter A. Next, what is interacting database systems that aim at generating and delivering HR information and allow us to automate some human resource management functions? I think it's quite clear from this definition. It is not complexity, it's not organizational culture, it is not centralization, it is a human resource information system, HRIS. So this system is interacting database systems that aim at generating and delivering HR information and allows us to automate some of the functions of the HR. Okay, I just like to go through the questions quickly. Here, what are the two of the most common strategic HRM measurement tools? Okay, economic value added and return on investment, employee turnover rate and recruiting yield ratio, economic value added and employee turnover rate, return on investment and employee turnover rate, or employee turnover rate and current ratio. So the answer is quite clear. It is letter A. Okay. The two most common strategic HRM measurements are the economic value added to, so the value added of HRM to the economy, and return on investment. Okay, ROI. So, designation, location, and job-related duties. So, like the job design and locating the job, or job-related duties are mentioned in the job description or specification, evaluation, or recruitment letter. It is related to the job, so it is not D. It's not recruitment letter. So, is it job evaluation? No, because job evaluation is about expected performance and actual performance. Is it job specification? No, because job specification is about setting the human skills, knowledge, abilities, and attitudes related to the job. It is letter A, job description. So the answer is letter A, job description, it is about the designation, location, and job-related issues. Okay, in the job description. What is the process that aims at rejecting unsuitable candidates? What is this process? Is it job training? No. Job evaluation? No, because it is about job candidates, so they are not yet employees in our organization. Is it recruitment? No, because recruitment is about attracting job candidates, so it is selection. Okay, it is letter C. The answer is letter C, because C, selection, is a process that aims at rejecting unsuitable candidates and also selecting the most appropriate candidates to our organization. Okay. Which of the options would best describe external recruitment? Placement agencies, or here we have three types of recruitment, three methods or sources of recruitment. So we have placement agencies, employee referrals, and job fairs. So which of those are external recruitment sources? 2 and 3, 1 or 3, 1, 2 and 3, or all of the above? Employee referrals is about the employees in the organization. They are referring to other people or other employees they know. So it is internal recruitment source, employee reference. That's why here the answer will be number 1 and number 3. So it is letter B, because both of those are considered external recruitment sources, the replacement agencies and the job fairs. Okay. Next, placing the right man for the right job is example for job description, job specification, job analysis, or job portfolio. This is an example for job analysis. Okay, the right man for the right job. Because in job analysis, you are specifying the job description and job specification. You are resulting in this that you will put the right man in the right job. Okay. Next. Oh, sorry. The final process of a job analysis is the preparation of two statements, namely the output. Here is asking about the output of job analysis, and we mentioned it a lot. So it is job description and job specification. The final stage of job analysis, you will have two statements, job description and job specification. Okay. Okay. This question is related to HR planning. So, what is the part of the planning stage of HR management? Working out profits, recruiting from Asia, creating a wage analysis, conducting interviews, or figuring out how many staff I need for the business and what each staff member needs to do. In the HR planning, we said that the first step is determining the needs of the employee needs of an organization. So the answer here is letter E, because he said we are figuring out how many staff I need. So we are determining the employee needs and trying to compare between what is required and what is available in order to determine the hiring plan or the actual plan. Okay, so the first step here of the HR planning is letter E, figuring out how many staff I need for the business and what each staff member needs to do. Okay. Why would a business use internal recruitment to find staff for a business? It involves less risk. Managers are lazy and can't be bothered externally recruitment. You can pay the staff a wage lower than other members of the team. Well, as for these choices, you can choose letter A, but it is not the main reason. Okay, so we will have the main idea about it. It involves it involves less risk, but this is for jobs that it not need new new employees, so you do not have to get new experience or something. You just use the internal recruitment in order to get to find staff for the vacancies in your organization, but it is not the only reason. Okay, but the answer of this question is it involves less risk. Okay. Mm. Can see which of the following is not one of the main objectives of HR management? Ensuring productivity. This is one of the objectives. Implementation of policies and procedures to ensure that business is compliant with legislation. This is one also of the objectives. Selection and recruitment. Those are main functions in the human resource management. Termination. No, this is not an objective. Okay. Termination is not objective of HRM. So the answer is letter D. HR planning takes into account staffing needs in terms of quantity and nothing else, quantity and quality, closeness of the workplace and home. No, it is letter B, so the answer is quantity and quality. When you are trying to specify in the staffing needs, you have to specify the quantity and quality. Okay. Here, chapter 4 in the workforce analysis. After analyzing the end result of the process, okay, organizational outputs, the next step in workflow analysis is, if you remember with me the workflow analysis, you are defining the inputs, the processes, and the outputs in order to produce a product or service. Okay. Here is asking about the organizational outputs. After you will reach this, The next step is what? First, identifying the materials needed to generate the output, identifying the number of people needed for operations, examining the required organizational tasks to create the desired end results, analyzing the administrative and secretarial needs to accomplish the goal, and training the self-managed work teams. Here he's asking about, as we said, after stating the target, the organizational outputs, what are we going to do? The next step is letter C. Why is it letter C? Because here is telling that after you know what you like to reach, you have to examine what is required. So you will set the tasks, you will set the processes that are desired to create the end result. So the answer here is letter C. Okay. Next. To complete a workflow analysis for each product or service that we provide in the organization, we have to identify what that create that product or service. So what he will define? We'll define work processes. It's not sustainability impact or material domain or managing labor. It is work processes. So to complete the workflow analysis for each product or service, we have to define the work processes that create that product and service. Okay. We'll talk about this. And this, okay, let's have this question. Stephanie and Mallory are working to identify the work performed and the working conditions for each job within Acme Global. Their final product contains duties, responsibilities, skills, knowledge required, outcomes, and working conditions for each job. The tool they are using is job design, job analysis, job specification, HR forecasting, or departmentalization. So it is quite easy, but try to figure it out. You are trying to set the duties, responsibilities, and skills, knowledge required, and outcomes. You are talking about job analysis. So they are using the job analysis in order to define all the related things of the job. Okay, don't forget that. Let's skip this. Here, this is a definition. What analysis is the tool that we use to identify what has to be done within the organization to produce a product or service? It is quite clear. It is the definition of workflow analysis. So the answer is letter A. Workflow analysis is the tool that we use to identify what has to be done within the organization. Okay. Okay. Which of those would be found in a job specification? Pay of the job, department that the job is in, knowledge required to do the job, whether the job is exempt or non-exempt, required tools for the job. So as we previously explained, that the job specification is related to stating the required knowledge, skills, and attitudes related to the job. So the answer here is letter C. Letter C. Okay. We already covered this question. This question two, the same. Okay. What job design method focuses on the job characteristics that affect the employee's psychological state and views attitudinal variables as the most important outcomes of job design? Biological job design, perceptual motor job design, motivational job design, engineered job design, mechanistic job design. So these are the types of the job design, but the one that has a focus on the effect of job characteristics on employees' psychological state is letter C, the motivational job design. Okay, letter C, motivational job design. This is the answer. Okay, again for job design. So which design that focuses on minimizing the physical strain, minimizing the physical stress or pressure on the worker by structuring the physical work environment around the way the body works? Is it perceptual motor job? No. Organic job? Motivational job? No, we just covered it. Essential job or biological job? It is letter E. Okay, biological job. Okay, so biological job design focuses on minimizing physical strain on the worker. Okay, next, which also job design that refers to designing jobs around the concepts of task, specialization, skills, simplification, and repetition. This is about the mechanistic job design. So the answer here is letter C, mechanistic job design. Okay, here again it is, we covered this already. This model, okay, is a conceptual framework for designing or enriching jobs based on core job characteristics. So the key answer is on this, based on core job characteristics. So where is the answer? It's quite clear. The answer is letter E. This is the job characteristics model. So it is a conceptual framework for designing and enriching jobs according to the core job characteristics model. Okay, next. Okay, Caleb, Mike, and Owen share one whole job. Okay, so the key answer is here. Okay, share one whole job, including workload and benefits of the job. This arrangement is referred as what sharing? It's quite clear we do not have office sharing, people sharing, position sharing, or hoteling sharing? The answer is work sharing. Okay, so the work sharing is about sharing a job and try to share the workload and the benefits of this job. Work sharing. Okay. What concept that refers to changing the tasks or the way work is performed in an existing job? So we have existing job already, but we're trying to change the tasks and the way work is performed. This refers to job development, job redesign, task alignment, specification, or departmentalization. So it's quite clear here, the answer is job redesign. Okay, because you are trying to redesign again the existing job. Okay, next. What is the ultimate goal of the job characteristics model? So this job characteristics model that we mentioned, that is based on the core job characteristics of the job, to make job more challenging, to reduce discrimination, to make work more motivational, to make life more relaxing, or to minimize work fatigue. No, the answer is letter C, to make work more motivational. So you are trying to do your best as an employer in order to encourage your employees to give their maximum performance for your organization. So you have to motivate them. Okay. Mm. Mm, 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 mm. Here identifies the estimated supply and demand for the different types of human resources in the organization over some future period based on analysis of past and present demand. So this refers to job forecasting or HR forecasting. You are forecasting the estimated supply and estimated demand, and this is one of the steps of HR planning, HR forecasting. Okay. Let's see. Monica wants to apply the job characteristics model, okay, to her employees' work. She plans to start giving performance appraisals every 3 months instead of every 12 months. Michael is trying to change the job. Okay. Trying to change the skill variety, the task identity, the feedback, the autonomy, or skill level. So here Michael is trying to change the feedback of the job because is trying to make a performance appraisal or every 3 months instead of 12 months. So we're trying to motivate the feedback on the performance of the employees. Okay. Willie found he did not have enough work to keep him busy throughout the workday. He did not want to work harder, but he also did not want to be idle. His boss found some more tasks for him so that he had plenty to do. This is an example of job enrichment, job rotation, job enlargement, work teams, or skill enrichment. So which of those concepts that reflect increasing the tasks or giving more tasks for an employee? It is job enlargement. Why? Because the meaning of job enlargement and job enlargement refers to broadening the types of tasks performed in a job. So you're not just doing one task, no, you are having a broadening type or broad types of tasks that are performed in the job. So this is the meaning of job enlargement. Okay. Next, what can be achieved through rotation, enlargement, and enrichment? So what can be achieved by these these steps? The job expansion, the perpetual motor design, the biological job design, the motivational job design, or none of the above. So the answer is letter A, job expansion. So job expansion can be achieved through these three strategies: rotation, enlargement, and enrichment. Okay. The simple way to jobs is for the manager to delegate more authority to employees to make a job satisfying. So is it enrich, enlarge, rotate, transfer, or entrench? Entrench. The answer is letter A, enrich. We previously explained that in large, you are giving more tasks and more variety different tasks to the job in order the employee will not get bored and to also to develop his skills. But the enrichment is about giving more authority. You are deepening the job. So you are giving more authority to the employees to make the job more satisfying. That's why it is called job enrichment. So you have to differentiate between job enrichment and job enlargement. So job enlargement, you're adding more tasks. Job enrichment, you are adding more authority to the job. Okay. You can find all these questions. Okay, let's see these. The Acme Globe Corporation has a very large labor surplus. So, very large labor surplus and needs to cut costs quickly. So the key answer here is they need to cut costs quickly. Its best method for dealing with this surplus should be skills decreases, natural attrition, pay reductions, early retirement, or downsizing. Surely it is downsizing because downsizing is about reducing, try to cut cost through reducing the large number of employees, and surely you are trying to eliminate the employees who are not effective in the organization to cut the cost. Okay. So, with what type of reduction do companies cut the hours reliable to each worker but did not lose any workers? So, how to cut the hours available to each worker but not losing the workers? Which strategy would we depend on? whether it's hoteling, work sharing, hours express, hourly forecasting, or absence management. It is letter B, work sharing, that you will try to reduce the hours available for each worker, okay? But at the same time, you are not losing the workers. So you're dependent on work sharing. These some questions. You have to look at it later. Okay. We covered all this question. 3 major tools for motivational job design. The 3 common quantitative HR forecasting methods. Here it comes to recruitment again. What is the main goal of the recruiting process? I think it's already very easy for you. To hire the best candidate? No. Recruiting is not about hiring. To create a reasonable pool of candidates? Yes, it is. To hire someone to fill the position? No. To encourage people to apply for future positions? No. To find the maximum number of candidates so you can hire the best? So the answer is letter B. Recruiting is about to create a reasonable pool of candidates. Okay, it's not like letter E. It's not about we're having the highest number of candidates. It will be very costly to make the selection process. But you need the reasonable pool with a sufficient, as you remember, sufficient quality and sufficient quantity of candidates. Okay, so the answer is letter B. Here is about the external factors also. If the unemployment rate is, it is to recruit applicants for open positions. So here we're trying to talk about whether it is higher and lower, easier or harder for unemployment and to recruit the applicants for an open position. First, high and harder. So if the unemployment rate is high, it is harder to recruit. Or high unemployment, it is easier to recruit. Low unemployment, it is harder to recruit. Or low unemployment, easier to recruit. So the answer here is quite clear also. It is letter B. Okay, it might be more confusing, but if you concentrate, it is the logic. The logic says that if the unemployment rate is high, so you have much unemployed individuals in the society, it is easier to recruit applicants for an open position because much people are seeking for a job. So it is easy. Once you will open a recruitment for a job or recruitment application, you will find much applicants because the unemployment rate is high. So the answer here is letter B, high and easier. Okay, next. What is the external pool of candidates from which we draw recruits for open positions? Surely it is the labor market. So labor market, letter B is the answer. It is the external pool for candidates from which we draw recruits for. Okay. The what in the area ties into the concept of supply and demand. The unemployment rate. So it is not graduation rate, production rate, or crime rate. It is unemployment rate. So the answer is A. Unemployment rate is about you are tying the concept of supply and demand of so if the supply is high and no demand, you will get the unemployment rate. You're trying to tie between the two concepts, the supply of human resources and the demand of human resources. Okay. Okay. Alternatives to recruiting new employees include all of the following except using mandatory overtime, bringing in temporary workers, using family and friends of current employees, retaining current employees and outsourcing some work to other firms. So, which is not involved here in the recruitment alternatives, it is letter C, because this is unprofessional way of getting employees that you will just use the family and friends of current employees. Okay, so the answer is letter C. The common types of recruiting include promotions from within and employee referrals. So it's quite clear, promotions from within the organization and employee referrals are internal recruiting uh, sources. That's why the answer will be letter B. Okay. This is also about the internal recruitment. This one is I like to shed light because we have a previous question about. So which of the following is an advantage of internal recruiting? You can see that letter E, the recruit will be able to learn more about the big picture of the company and become more valuable. So this is one of the main advantages of having internal recruiting, that when you are moving the employee who has an old history working on the organization, so he will he will not have any cultural shock, or you will not spend a lot of money in orientation and training. No, the employee already knows a lot about the organization, so he will just work immediately when he will be assigned to the new position. Okay, so this is one of the advantages. Mhm. Um, mm, mm, is the extent to which a test measures what it claims to measure. So this is the validity of the measure of recruitment. Okay. So you can go through the questions. I'll be sending you all the materials with the key answers. Still, we have a lot of questions about uh, all the chapters. Here, for example, reference checks. Reference checks, if completed during the selection process, usually have the following characteristics except. Okay, the reference checks. This when we were talking about getting the background information about an employee. So letter A, for example, provide information from previous companies on dates of employment and positions. So these are included. Generally, only provide positive reports on the candidate. Yes, included. Personal references are usually handpicked by candidate. Yes, the candidate is the one giving it to the employer. D, generally will provide detailed information on previous performance. Provide minimum information on the candidate's background. So the reference check will provide all this information except letter D. It will not give detailed information about previous performance. Okay, it's just about previous companies, previous positions, positive reports about the candidate, and general background, but it has no something about the performance. Okay, so letter D is the answer. Angela is part of a cohort of employees who regularly attend seminars on improving leadership and decision-making skills. The members of the cohort mentor one another. The meetings do not apply to Angela's current job, but she hopes the skills she is learning will help her advance in the organization later. Angela is experiencing development, orientation, training, practice, and tutoring. As you can see from this scenario, that the main theme that we're talking about a future job, not a current job, and all the it's talking about that she hopes for a skill to learn. That's why it is not about a current job. So the answer is development. She is experiencing development, employee development. So the letter A is the answer. Okay, next. Acme Global provides its employees with a tuition reimbursement program. If an Acme Global employee wants to take college classes or pursue a degree related to that employee's job or functional area, the organization will reimburse the employee for tuition when the employee completes the class. Acme Globe is developing its employees through, so here also we are talking about employee development. But what method or what approach of employee development? Whether it is formal education, experience, informal education, employee assessment, or alternative assessment. So the answer is letter A, formal education, because he go to the college classes. So this is formal education, college classes. So he wants to take college classes or pursue a degree. So this is formal education. It is approach of developing employees. Okay, next. This company provides its employees with performance appraisals twice a year. Each employee sits down with the employee supervisor for feedback and goal setting. Acme Global is developing its employees through, so this also approach of employee development, formal education, no, experience. He did not mention experience. He mentioned that he provide them with employee performance or performance appraisals. So the answer is letter D, employee assessment. So we are using the employee assessment in order to develop the employees. Okay. Again, Acme Group provides its employees with the opportunity to experience job rotation. So he mentioned experience in job rotation, like you're working in different departments in order to get experience from different jobs. This allows the employees to see more of what goes on the organization and how each job functions. Acme Global is developing its employees through, it's quite clear from the scenario, it is letter B, experience, because he's trying to develop him through getting more experience. Okay. Here's some short questions. You can go refer to the difference between training and development. Generally, organizations encourage voluntary turnover among top performers because it is inexpensive. Is that true or false? The answer is false, B. Because in general, organizations try to avoid the need for involuntary turnover. As we said, the involuntary turnover is the one not initiated by the employee but initiated by employer. So organizations is trying to avoid these and try to minimize voluntary turnover, especially among top performance, and both kinds of turnover are costly. So not only the voluntary is costly, the involuntary turnover also is costly. Okay. Outcome fairness involves the ends of a discipline process, while procedural and interactional justice focus on the means to those ends. Yes, that's true. So the answer is true. When you talk about the outcome fairness involves the ends of a discipline process. You are having like fairness or justice in the outcomes that are distributed to all the employees. Okay, while procedures, here we can say that not only is behavior ethical that is occurred with these principles, but research also linked that the two categories of justice with employee satisfaction and productivity. So all of those are included and achieving the employee satisfaction, as we mentioned, that the employee perceived that he has outcome fairness, a procedural and interactional justice. Okay. And the last question we have, in procedural justice, the procedures should be consistent from one person to another, and the manager using them should suppress any personal biases. So this is true. The answer is true. It's quite clear that there is justice in the procedures from one person to another. So this is what is meant by procedural justice. Okay, I've reached uh, finally to the end of the final revision. I wish you a best of luck, and if you need any question, please don't hesitate to contact me. I will try to write my email. Okay, so Mohammed at foc.cu.edu.eg. please, if you need any question, if there is something that is not clear, if you have any queries, please don't hesitate to send me an email and ask me whatever you like. If you need any point that you'd like me to elaborate it more clearly, please also send to me. If you have any questions to Professor Gamal, please also send me. I was more than happy to be with you in this semester. I will be uploading all the rest of the videos of detailed chapters, inshallah, of chapter 2 and 4. So don't worry about that. And thank you very much. Good luck.